So today we finish our study in the book of Galatians, which actually makes me a little bit sad. Such good stuff here. This week we've been looking at some of the practical implications of the gospel in this letter that Paul wrote. I'm picking up in chapter 6, verse 8. Whoever sows to please their flesh, from the flesh will reap destruction. Whoever sows to please the Spirit, from the Spirit will reap eternal life. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. I think there are two very different groups of people that need to hear this. On the one hand, there are those who think that they are getting by, who are not doing much, phoning it in, don't think really their life matters, they're being selfish, and they think that that's just fine. They need to hear this. We heard some of this yesterday. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. The other group that needs to hear this is those who are trying hard and serving and are growing weary. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. So there are two times this passage was quoted to me. And I really needed to hear it. One time, second year in ministry, I was frustrated. I was a college pastor, and college students were being a little flighty, not growing like I sort of expected. This was all hard, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. And I mentioned that to the pastor of the church, and he said, "Yep, nope, it's hard." Sometimes all we could say is, do not grow weary of doing good. And that's all. He goes, that's all I got for you. All right. You're growing weary of doing good. Don't grow weary of doing good. A few years later, I was involved with a Habitat for Humanity project. And the long and the short of it is, and at this point, Habitat was a relatively new organization, and Millard Fuller, who was the president, flew out for our first house. We're going to do our first exchange, which is what we do with Renew Now, where there's a ribbon cutting, and you give them a Bible and pray for them, and they sort of step into their house, and it's a great moment, very fun. But this family had frustrated me that we were helping, and I was pretty ready for this to be the only house I was going to work on. And Millard Fuller pulled me aside, and he said, "So I understand you're very frustrated." And I said, "I am." And he goes, "Yeah, well, look, I'm here to tell you, do not grow weary of doing good. Like, this is a good thing to do, and you cannot grow weary." And I thought, yeah, I've heard that before. So I just want to say, look, the Christian life does not always make sense in the short term. Sometimes it does, but a lot of times it doesn't. And if what we see is all we get, like if this life is it, then I would say don't be a Christ follower. But if Jesus rose from the dead, right, and if his promises are true and we gain eternal life, then by all means store up your treasures in heaven where moth and rust do not destroy and thieves do not break in and steal. Set your mind on things above where Christ is. I mean, that's where our heart ought to be, and that will pull us forward. And we will see that this life is short and eternity is not. And the opportunity that we have to make a difference is today. Have a good day.